Hey, what's up, everybody? I thought, in the meantime, while we're in the off season, and since it's not quite time for the draft or the release of the schedules, I thought I'd just do something fun and create my all-time Cowboys roster. Now, this is a roster that would be, which all teams usually have this. They'll have like a 50th anniversary roster or uh, stuff like that. So I decided to do our all-time roster, so all Hall of Famers, all the best players at each position throughout all decades, all on one team. I like to do this on Madden as well. And so yeah, let's start with this now. We're going to start with the coaching staff. Now, I put both Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson because, I think, unfortunately, we all know how good Jimmy would have been had he stayed longer. And, you can put an asterisk next to Barry Switzer's ring because technically that was Jimmy's team still anyway. And Tom Landry got outcoached by Chuck Noll and Bill Walsh. And not that Tom Landry isn't a legend, don't get me wrong, but, he lost to the Steelers twice and, he lost the catch game. And after that catch game, he started to go downhill. And I know a lot of people were still pissed off and never forgiven Jerry about firing Tom Landry, but really his time was up, and I think his philosophy had been really outdated. I think his last hurrah was drafting Michael Irvin, of course. But I think we need to have Jimmy there because Jimmy's the fire. Because I put the 1992 Cowboys up against anybody. Not that the 70s teams weren't good, but they did lose to the Steelers. So, I mean, twice. And the 70 Colts, although that was only by a field goal. And he also got outcoached by Lombardi. So, Tom Landry's still a legend. He's pretty much the face of the Cowboys. And along with Roger Staubach, the first person that comes to mind in terms of legends. But you gotta have Jimmy's fire. You gotta have Jimmy's fire in there. Cause, the 92 Cowboys are better than all the 70s Cowboys combined, in my opinion. 70s teams were dominant, but, they should have beaten the Steelers in 78. That last Super Bowl where, fucking, what was his name? Jackie Smith dropped the pass, a perfectly thrown pass from Staubach, and, there's that bullshit, pass interference call. So, he should have won that one. That wasn't Tom Landry's fault. It was just the refs and fucking Jackie Smith. But anyway, so I want both coaches on the sideline because they're both very, very important. And then, of course, we have Jimmy's staff, offensive coordinator Norv Turner, defensive coordinator Dave Wannstedt, and special teams coach Joe Avezzano. So, of course, we'll have Jimmy's. Because I reviewed like Mike Ditka. Mike Ditka was under Thomas. So, well, Mike Ditka's going to be with the Bears. If we're doing the all-time teams, I think Ditka's going to be with his 85 Bears. So, so there we go. That's the coaching staff. And next we're going to go to honorable mentions for the players. Because I know when on my roster, my final roster, which I do have 53, people are going to say, well, what about this player? What about that player? What about this player? Well, that's why I'm doing an honorable mentions. So we got Dandy Don Meredith, Danny White, Tony Romo. Oh, what? Tony Romo didn't make the list? Nope, no Super Bowls. You don't make the list. When you have Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman, two Hall of Famers that won more than one Super Bowl, why the fuck do you need Don Meredith, Danny White, or Tony Romo? And by the way, this is a 53-man, so I had to make cuts because this is like, if this was a real team, I'm putting 53 on. So, Don Perkins, Walt Garrison, Herschel Walker, Robert Newhouse, Dez Bryant. Sorry, Dez, you didn't make the cut. Alvin Harper, Billy Joe. See, Dez didn't even make the cut either. So y'all, I left a lot of people out. So Dez is out. Billy Joe Dupree, Flozell Adams, Tyron Smith, Tom Rafferty, John Giesick, Andre Gerard, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Jim Jeffcoat. Oh, Jim Jeffcoat almost made the final cut. A lot of these guys did. Almost made it to the 53. Tony Tolbert, Leroy Glover. Now, Leroy Glover is really good, but if we were to do the all-time Saints, he'd be on the all-time Saints. So, Russell Maryland, Chad Hennings, Chris Boniol, and that's it. So now we're going to go to the offensive roster, all time. Offense, quarterback, Staubach, and Aikman. No need for Romo or Dak or the other guys, Meredith or Danny White, because, duh, you got 2 Hall of Famers there. Unless Dak wins the Super Bowl, then you get a third string. If Dak wins the Super Bowl, then you can put him as third string. Emmitt Smith and Tony Dorsett, of course. Again, why put Zeke on this list when you have 2 Hall of Famers? Duh. I mean, that's not even a question. Emmitt and Tony, I mean, those guys are fucking, I mean, Tony is just fast as fuck. And then in the fourth quarter, you just put in Emmitt Smith and let him grind it out. Fullback, Daryl Moose Johnston, of course. Who else? Wide receivers, Michael Irvin, Bullet Bob Hayes, Drew Pearson, and Tony Hill. Great wide receiving core. Tight ends, Jason Witten and Jay Novacek. Left tackle, Rayfield Wright and Mark Tuinei. Now, Rayfield, I think, played right tackle usually. But I'll just put him at left, and I put Eric Williams at right. Left guard, Nate Newton and John Nyland. Mark Stepnoski, and then we put LP Ladouceur, but like I put in parentheses, he'll be the long snapper. Probably the best long snapper we've had. I guess another honorable mention would be Del Hellestrae from the 90s. So, right guard, Larry Allen, of course, and Kevin Gogan. Larry Allen can play any of these positions except for center, so Larry Allen can do fucking anything. And then right tackle, Eric Williams and Ralph Neely. Now we're going to go to the defense, which is going to be cool here. Defensive end, Charles Haley. And D-Ware, a lot of people say, well, wait, and we're going to pretend that this is going to be a 4-3. So D-Ware could be a linebacker or he could be anywhere, but I'm just putting him as defensive end because he's a pass rushing linebacker. So we're going to pretend that this is a 43 defense. So we put D-Ware as the under the category of defensive end. So Haley, Ware, Harvey Martin, Ed Too Tall Jones, and George Andre. Defensive tackles, Hall of Famers, Bob Lilly, Randy White, and then Leon Lett and Jethro Pugh. Outside linebackers, Chuck Howley, Ken Norton Jr., Thomas Henderson, and Dexter Coakley. Ken Norton can also play middle linebacker. The middle linebackers, Leroy Jordan, Bob Bruning, Eugene Lockhart, and Robert Jones. Cornerbacks, Dion. Now, everybody, I hate it when people say, oh, Dion's not a real cowboy, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, my opinion on this, once a cowboy, always a cowboy. Whether it's Dion, Charles Haley, Ken Norton, or T.O., once a cowboy, always a cowboy. And you're fucking retarded if you don't want Deion Sanders on your team. So, he's the GOAT. I mean, it's not even a question. Hall of Famer, another Hall of Famer with Mel Renfro, Everson Walls, who should be in the Hall of Fame, Terrence Newman, and a very underrated gem in Kevin Smith. Very underrated. You gotta have Kevin Smith in there because if you saw how he covered Jerry Rice, especially in those first 2 championship games in the 90s, I mean, underappreciated. You gotta put Kevin Smith on there. Free safeties, Cliff Harris, Brock Marion, and James Washington. Strong safeties, Darren Woodson, of course, Roy Williams, Cornell Green, another underrated gem from the late 60s and early 70s, Charlie Waters, and Bill Bates being special teams ace. And then the kicker, Dan Bailey, one from our current squad. Got to have Dan Bailey in there. And then our punter, Mac McBriar, from not too long ago as well. Kick returners, Bullet Bob Hayes and Mel Renfro. And then punt returner, Deion Sanders, and also Mel Renfro as backup. So there we go. There is our list of the all-time greatest Cowboys roster for our history. And, yeah, it'd be a hell of a team. We'd love to see this team go up against the all-time Steelers, all-time Niners, all-time Giants, all-time Packers. It'd be great. I play these rosters sometimes on Madden. It's a lot of fun. But, yeah, so let me know what you think of the rosters. Which players would you put in? I'm sure a lot of Romo fans will be, oh, I want Romo in there, or whoever. But I think this team would be very, very, very unstoppable. This would be, that's why I love playing it on Madden, because it's cool to see who would win all the Hall of Famers against each other, you know. So, yeah, so that's my list. And I'll catch you guys later during the draft and when the season gets released. So, yeah, go Cowboys and peace out.